Hey guys, it's Mike, Narcoleptic Customs again. We're going to put this under the Project LC video. I'm going to actually call it episode 6.5. I want to kind of go over a couple things about parting out the vehicle. When we got into this, our goal was to take this Tahoe and the Land Cruiser and make the Land Cruiser a great driver. Once we got the engine and trans out, our goal is to part this out, but I want to go over just a couple things on that side of parting the vehicle out, because I pulled the first piece for sale. I pulled it tonight. It took me about an hour and a half, probably by the time I got this back in the shop. If you haven't watched episode 6, do that. So I had to get this back in the shop. So I pulled, you can see the ABS module there on the floor. It took me about an hour once I got the truck in, got it jacked up. So that kind of got me thinking while I was down there, is it worth your time to part out a vehicle as compared to selling it whole? So obviously you'll get more money for it, piecing it out like that, and whether you sell it on eBay, Facebook, Marketplace, or Craigslist, that's up to you. But I'll tell you a little bit. To get my Gen 4 5.3 that I'm going to put a turbo on for a later build, I bought a wrecked 05 Tahoe for $700, paid $100 to have it towed, got it to my house. Me and a guy named Dakota and Steven, my brother, and one of Dakota's buddies came over one day, and we really worked on it. Got a lot of the parts pulled, the engine pulled, trans pulled, all my wiring and things like that I need. So in that time, it was a good visit. It was a lot of fun. But since then, I had a garage full of 05 Tahoe parts, doors, windows. I still have the rear axle in there 7 months later now. Still have the rear axle in there because nobody will buy it. So that's the second part of this. One, is it worth your time? Because we probably, with that one being wrecked, it made it harder. But a vehicle like this, it's in pretty good shape, just now needs an engine and harness and whole front end. Is it worth it to just take it to the scrapyard and get $400 or $500 for it or whatever? Or is it worthwhile to part out? Well, for me, in my situation, having a 2-bay shop, it makes it difficult because I have to work on the Land Cruiser, so I have to put the engine and trans in it, so I'm going to move it to this spot, and then I have to put this in that hole. Well, obviously, if you're selling parts, it makes it a little more difficult because then I'm really splitting my time between someone coming in and picking up let's say they're buying the front end. Well, now I have to take 2 hours and pull the front end off to sell it to them to make a couple $100. So in that same amount of time, I could have spent that time working on the Land Cruiser, getting the engine in and things like that. So you have to weigh the pros and cons of that, because in the beginning of a project, it's super easy to say, oh, well, I'll just part out the Tahoe to make up money to buy parts for the Land Cruiser. Well, when you go to do that, you now have to have a spot for the Tahoe and the Land Cruiser and divide your time. So for me, it makes it a little easier, but at the same time harder, because I do have a spot I can put it to tear it apart. All the parts that have come off of it have gone in the back of it, so it's kind of in its own storage. My dilemma with selling parts on this, though, is if I sell big parts like the rear axle or all of the doors, the wheels and tires, the front suspension, what happens then once it's basically on blocks? So it makes it difficult on my side, because I don't want something completely unmovable in a bay of the shop in case I have to get something in that's kind of a quick turn. So that's just a couple points of thought going into a swap like this, or your swap that you're doing. like I said, we did it one time on an 05 Tahoe for me. It worked well, but I've still got stuff in the garage, and the wife is ready to park in the garage. So that makes it difficult on my end. But anyways, just some thoughts I had. I didn't really want to make a whole episode on parting out a vehicle, but as we go along, I'll show bits and pieces. I'll show the dismantling of this as we do sell parts, and it becomes available. So anyways, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel, and find us on Facebook at Narcoleptic Customs and on Instagram at Narcoleptic. Thanks.